Welcome to For Love and Justice. I'm your host, Elise Williams-Reichard, and today we're going to break down the controversy around a movie you should not see called It Ends With Us, starring Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, based on the novel by the arguably terrible Colleen Hoover. Trigger-happy Colleen Hoover. So in case you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard the It Ends With Us drama. There's a lot of he said, she said that's been going around, and while there's been a lull in the Diddy drama, his case is not being heard until May. So the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni drama is getting me through. This is my bread and butter. This is what I love to stay up late and watch TikToks about and study. So I'm going to break down all of the drama and all of the he said, she said, and what's actually going on because it's pretty confusing. The TLDR is that Blake Lively filed a complaint, not a lawsuit. I am going to link in the comments a video by Reb for the Rebrand, who is a lawyer who breaks down all the legal jargon and says this is not a lawsuit. This is a complaint Lively has filed. Justin Baldoni his lawyer has announced that he is going to file a counterclaim, which will then likely lead to Lively filing an actual lawsuit. So what is the complaint about? Blake Lively is accusing her co-star and director of the film, Justin Baldoni, of sexual harassment and his studio, Wayfair, for creating a hostile work environment. Now, could this be the next Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial? The short answer is yes, because the media interest is there, the public interest is there. Hello. Everything's adding up. It's all feeling all too familiar, to the extent that Amber Heard actually pinned a little letter she posted to social media for Blake Lively based on what she's gone through. And in light of Justin Baldoni hiring Johnny Depp's lawyer. But I will say the way this seems to be different, and at first it seemed like, okay, here we go, just two assholes again, fighting it out in a public, messy, expensive court battle. And there is a little bit of that, but I think there is also something bigger. I think this has the potential to set a precedent around industry standards for intimacy coordinators, I think it'll put pressure on movie execs to get their act together on set. But only time will tell. We shall see. Now let's back up and give some context, because this movie sucks so hard. I cannot stress enough how much you should not see it. Even though all the promotion for the movie and all the press hereafter has been juicy, it's overshadowing the film, the message of the film. This is not a light, fun rom-com, no matter how much Blake Lively and Colleen Hoover wanted you to believe that it was. They wanted you to put on your florals and grab your girlfriends and go see this little rom-com, right? Wrong. It's not a rom-com. From the beginning to the end, it is about domestic abuse, and it is triggering as hell. My friends and I went to see it with two of my best friends. We are all happily married. We left the theater triggered, not only sniping at each other, we then went home and sniped at our husbands and picked a little fight. So don't see this movie. Disclaimer. So because of that, it was actually super easy for Justin Baldoni and his team to paint Blake Lively as the villain in this situation, because from the outside looking in, it looked like she was. It looked like this was the Blake Lively show, and she gave 0 Fs about domestic violence. The interviews that were shared just for the press from the movie, not even things that Justin Baldoni's team drug up, but interviews where, people asked her if someone was suffering from domestic abuse and they see the film and they want to reach out to you, what would be the best way to, ask you for some advice, essentially, paraphrasing. And she was an asshole back and was like, "Oh, well, should I give them my number? Do you just want me to give a stranger my number?" She's not great at reading the room. I did also want to point out, because I am a reality TV queen, love reality TV, and this feels very similar to me. This is a scenario that would play out on the Real Housewives, I feel like. Um, Especially when you think about it in terms of the villain edit. Blake Lively got the villain edit. And it's kind of gray when someone gets the villain edit, because it's like, well, you said what you said. No one, maybe someone tricked you into saying it. Maybe someone manipulated you. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep and you had too many, I was going to say bottles of wine, glasses of wine, and you said something you shouldn't have, but you still said it at the end of the day. But there have been producers who, especially when you look at Vanderpump Rules, that try to paint certain cast members in a certain light. And sometimes there are fan favorites that the producers seem to not want to be fan favorites. And there have been what seem like smear campaigns, especially housewives on other housewife crime. Yeah, I'm sure there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and they're always accusing each other of selling stories and planting stories to the media to damage someone's reputation or whatever. So, yeah, if you're having trouble understanding all of the unfolding drama, just think of it in terms of reality TV, because that's what's going on. However, that does not take away from the documented public claims she has made about Justin Baldoni. And we're going to get into that. So she also did interviews for the film that were very interesting, where she talked about some of the intimate scenes and how she took on the role of intimacy coordinator. And when the interviewer commended her, she was like, no, that's not a good thing. There should have been an intimacy coordinator on set to begin with. So we should have known from that there was something fishy going on. Especially as new as Justin Baldoni is to directing and the movie industry as a whole. He was on Jane the Virgin for years. He did TV. But this is really his first big film that I'm aware of, and I've been a fan of his and Blake Lively's for a while now. So you would think he would have tried to check off all the right boxes, but here we're seeing some cutting of corners. And in Blake's filed complaint, she talks about how uncomfortable she felt during some sex scenes that they filmed. She felt some were not necessary, and that Justin was improvising and doing things like biting her shoulder or her neck, things that were not in the script. And I will point out, as the director of the film, you don't have an intimacy coordinator. You are the director. You are also one of the starring actors. That sounds like an abuse of power. So let's get into more of the claims. Justin allegedly showed Blake and others pornographic videos and discussed his past addiction to porn. He also apparently talked about Blake Lively's dad, and she wants him to stop talking about her dad. I really love to know more of what that's about. Lively also claims they held an all-hands-on-deck meeting to discuss the hostile work environment and Justin's actions. This is not confirmed, but I would think this is likely when the intimacy coordinator was hired, and then when Blake and her husband Ryan Reynolds rewrote some scenes, which we know from interviews they've done. And when we first found this out, it was hella cringy because it was during the writer's strike, if you add up the timeline, and it was so disrespectful to writers. But now we're getting some more context clues, and Blake felt, allegedly, that her husband needed to step in and protect her and rewrite some scenes. So Blake also claims that Justin body shamed her, and of course she was just a few months postpartum. We had heard that he allegedly asked her how much she weighed, which was due to him having back issues and needing to lift her. But more has since come out that apparently she asked him for a recommendation for something else and he sent her to a dietitian or something. Anyway, that is what Blake is claiming. She's also claiming, of course, emotional damage that her and her family had to endure because of the smear campaign by Justin and his team, which, like I said, I'm going to link Reb for the Rebrand in my comments. But it's so fascinating how Blake and her team got the text messages between Justin and his team to expose the smear campaign. And the part that gets me is that he brought Taylor Swift's beloved name into this and said because she's besties with Blake, she taught her how to bully people through the media. Ooh. And now Justin's lawyer is claiming that this is a smear campaign and that their evidence is going to set the record straight. Time will tell when he files his counterclaim. It is worth noting that Blake Lively is worth a lot more than Justin Baldoni. She is significantly wealthier, has significantly more resources. So if he does decide, which it seems like he has, to continue with this and then it turns into a lawsuit, it's not looking good for Justin. Okay, that's the show today. I tried to keep it nice and short and sweet because this is an ever-evolving case. So we will be back with more tea as the tea is spilled. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on all the places, Elise Will Reichard or For Love and Justice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. I have a newsletter that you can subscribe to. You can also email me at forloveandjusticepod@gmail.com if you think I got something wrong or you just want to pop off about Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, or Colleen Hoover. I'm always down to bash Colleen Hoover.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.